Edward, hey, congratulations on Apex.
Thank you, sir. I hope you enjoyed it.
You know what? These type of movies is always a guilty pleasure for a lot of us, isn't it?
I love it. Yeah, yeah, no, it's fun.
It is a whole lot of fun. So let's start off with that easy question. Where did the original idea came from for Apex for you?
I wanted to tell a story that we could safely shoot during COVID. We shot this before there were any protocols in place. We were actually writing a lot of the white papers that WorkSafe BC would end up using. And it came from, I've always been fascinated with blood sport films. Gladiator is one of my favorite films of all time. And the reason it resonates so strongly is that we want to get inside and understand Commodus. It was the same for the hunters here. Every hunter had to have a purpose that they're drawn to a sport like Apex, where you want to go and hunt another human being. And that psychology was what really interested me. And also playing with the legacy of Bruce, because as soon as the audience knows that Bruce is going to be there, being hunted by other people, we can play and subvert the expectations in a really fun way. What if he's not the most badass motherfucker out there? What if he's just able to play little mind games, trick the other hunters into turning on each other, like take advantage of old grudges? And I thought that was just a really interesting creative and structural challenge to writing this.
So tell us how you focused on mainly on the villains rather than the anti-hero. I mean, how did you create all these different characters and personalities?
It's a fun way to look at some of the personalities in the world right now that are gaining a lot of media attention, and look at like bringing two real people together, or looking at these toxic traits that we're seeing people rewarded for in certain ways, and just have fun with it. I mean, I think that there's a dark heart in all of us that can see parts of our own personality reflected in each of these hunters. So originally, like when I first started writing, I was like, okay, what if there's 7 hunters and every hunter is like a different sin and that sort of thing? And I'm like, no, that's boring. I've seen that all before. What feels truthful? What feels real? And so Megan Peter Hill's character, Jezza, someone who can prey upon the idea of the information gleaned during not the hunt, but the drinks between the hunts. I thought that felt truthful. There's people that are like that I know that will, that live for the water cooler talks so that they can just get like one little bit of information and then use it to their advantage and that sort of thing. So, yeah.
Now, it seems like you had a lot of fun with the fight sequences, especially with the weapons itself, because I guess that is your gladiator influence, because there was even a flail that was available. Tell us, the choice of weapons that you want to present in this film and for each character.
Yeah, the weapons, be it just the guns, the landmines, the energy shields, that sort of thing, they all had to be dictated by the personality of the hunter. Why is this hunter being drawn to this weapon? That sort of a thing. So for someone like Nels Lennison's character, Bishop, he is a guy who can lie in wait and do an ambush and that sort of a thing, while he's also dealing with his own demons. And I felt that mine sequence where it's was it Bishop v Jezza, that was honestly one of the first things I wrote for the script. And I'm so happy that it made it all the way through, because I just thought it was such an interesting way to play with the power and the tension between those two characters and that sort of a thing. But yeah, it was just dude, I've got the best job in the world. What can I say? It's so much fun being able to write these.
That is true. That is true. We could tell you had a lot of fun, but you faced a lot of challenges, like you talked about with the pandemic. I'm going to go on a limb that this was not filmed on a deserted island anywhere. So tell us about how you pulled off this production.
So yeah, as we were talking about, we shot during COVID, during the very first like early days of film production getting its legs back. And I wrote the thing wanting to be able to make the thing in the world that we're living in right now. And that meant just looking at crowds. Nope, they're gone. How can I limit the time actors have to spend indoors with each other, that sort of a thing. Bruce never comes into contact with another actor except for one other actor who was able to travel between Canada and the US. So we shot all of Bruce's side in Washington, and then we shot all of the reverses in Canada. And very little green screen was actually used because the natural fauna and flora, it's so consistent. It's geographically, it's only maybe 200 miles apart, even though there's a giant border between the US and Canada. So we just leaned into what we had and just wanted to tell the best story possible.
Now you introduced this story sort of like the near future, and you played along with the holograms. Was this also sort of like a pandemic decision, or was this always in the original script?
No, always pandemic decision, but there was never a version where West wasn't a hologram, because if we can do that effect well and we can sell it to the audience and not break the verisimilitude, then there is no reason to risk the exposure of another actor to this environment. So honestly, we shot all of West's footage in a shed, like honestly a little garage in Victoria, set up a green screen 6 feet from 2 cameras that we were shooting like parallel. I picked our shots. I made sure that the plate shots that we had were shot previously. We shot her out in 2 hours on our 8th day.
Wow, that is excellent.
And Alexia Fast is like the low-key like MVP of this film as well. She brought an otherness to the character that I think strangely makes her the hero. And yeah, Alexia and I talked a lot about how West's motivations are that she's a bit bored. She's working for the man, indulging these terrible human beings, enabling them in a lot of ways. So she's kind of rooting for Bruce's character, Malone, and that was a lot of fun.
I know everybody likes to root for Bruce, and Bruce is quite a personality in all his movies. But I want to focus on Neil, because Neil was a psychopath in this film. Could you talk more about Neil and how? I mean, he was quite a dreadful character. I do have to admit that.
Well, that's the funny thing. We didn't even give Neil the script. We just started filming him. This is just his day to day. No, I'm completely joking with you. No, no, it was definitely something where we felt that like Neil could tap into this really dark, like cold heart of Rainsford in a really interesting way, because he is strangely relatable. We see Rainsford reflected in a lot of the like leaders of the free world in some ways. Now, sometimes we need people like that. Other times we also need to understand why they are like that as well. And so it was really the psychology of Rainsford was the most interesting thing for me.
Great. Well, I really appreciate you talking to us about this film, because
thanks, dude.
Because I enjoyed this so much that I like you to revisit this world again, possibly for a sequel down the road. Hopefully, who knows?
Yeah, no, fingers crossed. And I mean that it's a fun world. I really want to do we can take the Apex idea and look at different forces that are shaping society in really interesting ways. But yeah, thank you so much for your support, dude. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you, Edward. Hopefully we'll do
I'll
this
see you later.
again.
Be good.